During a girls' night, my fiancée but dialed me while she was trashing my proposal to her friend, and I listened for 20 minutes without interrupting. Then I texted her friend in the same group and put her on speaker for me, and the panic on the other end was beautiful. Alright, Reddit, this story is going to tick you off. At first, my fiancée but dialed me during girls' night, and I heard 25 minutes of her trashing everything about me and our relationship while bragging about her cheating, and I did what she never imagined me doing and watched her life implode. I'm Damian, 32 male, pulling down $85K as a senior project manager for this midsize construction company, not tech money but solid enough that I own a decent 2-bedroom condo and can afford to live without checking my bank account every 5 minutes. Been grinding at this job for 7 years, working my way up from the bottom. Started as a site supervisor making $38K, busting my butt in the heat while college kids with daddy's money got fast-tracked into office jobs. Julia and I met 3 years ago at this rooftop bar downtown. I was celebrating my promotion with my boys Finn, Mike, and Torres from work. We shut the place down, spent probably $400, and earned every penny of that hangover. Julia was there with her girlfriends, 28, worked as a social media coordinator for some wellness brand, hot as heck though, long dark hair, great smile, and this laugh that made you want to be the guy causing it. I'm not going to lie, I was feeling confident that night, new promotion, good buzz, wearing this navy button-down that made my shoulders look broad. She approached me, then I made some jokes and had her laughing within 5 minutes. Our first date was perfect, took her to this steakhouse I'd been wanting to try, nothing crazy expensive but quality. She ordered the filet mignon without even looking at the price, which I respected, no games, no pretending she only wanted a salad. We talked for 3 hours straight and when I walked her to her car, she kissed me first. 6 months in, we had this weekend at a cabin I rented up in the mountains, 2 hours north, no cell service, just us and a bottle of soda. She brought some book about mindfulness or whatever, I brought my laptop to catch up on some project reports. Friday night, she's curled up against me by the fireplace, reading while I worked, and she looks up and says, "I love how focused you are," made me feel like I'd found someone who actually got what I was about. Someone who didn't need constant entertainment or validation, someone solid. Looking back, I was a fool. There were some signs I ignored. The first red flag should have been how she always compared us to other couples, not directly asking for stuff but always making sure I knew what the competition was doing. Hazel's boyfriend surprised her with flowers just because it's Tuesday. Alora's guy took her to that new place with the tasting menu, never demanding I do the same, just reminding me what was out there, you know. The second red flag was the money thing. We'd split checks early on, which I respected, but she'd always make these little comments. I love how independent we are, but I have to admit, I get a little jealous when I see traditional guys who insist on paying, not asking me to pay, just letting me know that real men handled the bill. I'd be thinking to myself, "Excuse me ma'am, I thought you were strong and independent, pick a side." Anyways, the third red flag was her friend Hazel. This woman was pure poison in designer clothes. Every time she was around, she'd plant little seeds of doubt. "You guys are so cute together, but you're still so young. There's so much world to explore before settling down," always said with this fake smile. Besides all of that, everything else was good, or so I thought. The proposal happened 3 months ago and I went all out, not because I felt pressured but because I thought Julia deserved it. I'd been planning for 2 months, saved up 4 months of overtime pay, that's 12 grand in cash by the way, not credit card, not a payment plan. Hard cash that I earned by working 60-hour weeks and eating PB&J for lunch every day. Hit up 3 different jewelry stores, did my research, learned about cuts and clarity and all that stuff, settled on this classic round diamond, 1.2 carats, excellent cut, set in white gold with small diamonds on the band. The sales guy tried to upsell me to some gaudy 2-carat monstrosity, but I knew Julia's style. She was classy, not flashy. Made reservations at this upscale Italian place downtown, same place we went for our third date. The proposal was smooth as heck. I had the ring in my jacket pocket, palms sweating like I was about to give a presentation to the CEO, waited until after we'd finished our appetizers, took her hand across the table and told her exactly how I felt, dropped to one knee right there in the restaurant. The whole place went quiet, people started pulling out phones, the works. When I opened that little black box, her face lit up like freaking Christmas morning. She said yes before I even finished asking the question. But here's what should have been the biggest red flag. Within 30 seconds of saying yes, she was more focused on photographing the ring than kissing me. First words out of her mouth after yes were, "Oh my God, wait until Hazel sees this." Her first instinct was to show off for the same toxic friends who'd been undermining our relationship for years. I should have known right then I was getting engaged to her Instagram feed. So one Friday night, Julia announced girls' night with her usual crew, Hazel, Alora, and a couple other vultures whose names I never bothered learning. I was actually relieved, gave me a guilt-free night to have Finn over for some Call of Duty and wings. Try not to solve all the world's problems in one night, I told her as she spent 2 hours getting ready. Finn showed up with a 12-pack of soda and his Xbox controller around 8 p.m. Then when we were deep into some war zone, my phone started buzzing around 10:30. Julia's contact photo. "Hold up, let me see what she needs," I told Finn, pausing the game. I answered, expecting to hear bar noise and Julia asking for an Uber pickup or something. Instead I got muffled sounds like the phone was in her purse and background chatter. I was about to hang up when I heard her voice crystal freaking clear. The whole thing was just so pathetic, like embarrassingly pathetic. Finn looked over at me, eyebrows raised. Something in my gut told me this wasn't about her job or some random drama. I put the phone on speaker. He took me to Morello's, the same place we went for our third date. Zero creativity. Zero effort, just recycled romance because he's too freaking cheap and unimaginative to try harder. My blood turned to ice water. She was talking about our engagement and the ring. Her voice got higher, more animated. "Girls, I'm not even kidding. It's so small I have to angle my hand just right in photos so people can't see how tiny the diamond is." I had to fake excitement because the whole restaurant was watching, but oh my God, I've seen bigger stones at the mall kiosk. Finn's jaw dropped. "Bro, what the actual hell?" I gestured for him to stay quiet so I could listen to my fiancée humiliating me in front of her cult. Hazel's voice came through the speaker. "Seriously, how much could he have possibly spent? Like $1,000, maybe 1,500 if he really went crazy. You know Damian, he's the type who checks Groupon before booking dinner reservations." Finn grabbed my shoulder and mouthed "Holy crap," while I sat there feeling like I'd been punched in the throat. 1,500. The ring cost me 4 months of overtime, living on whatever food and gas station coffee and working weekends. Compare that to Jensen from my office, Julia continued. This guy shows me pictures of the jewelry he's looking at for his investments. We're talking real stones, 5-figure minimum. That's what a successful man does when he knows what he wants. Sounds like Jensen knows how to treat a woman, right? Alora chimed in. Oh, he does. When we go out for lunch, money is no object. Last week he took me to that place downtown where dinner runs $400 for 2 people, didn't even blink at the bill. When we go out, he's present, freaking attentive like it's a regular thing. Finn was recording now, holding up his phone to capture everything. Smart move. Jensen has been asking me out for months and honestly I'm starting to think I picked the wrong guy. He's successful, confident, drives that gorgeous Audi S5, lives in one of those high-rise condos with the city view, everything Damian isn't and will never be. Each word hit like a sledgehammer to the chest. So why are you still with Damian? One of the other girls asked. Because I thought I loved him, but it's like settling, you know. Damian is the safe choice, the reliable Honda Civic when what you really want is the Porsche. The whole room erupted in giggles. Damian comes home at 5:30 every day, watches Netflix until bedtime, and thinks Olive Garden is fine dining. No ambition, no excitement, no growth. Jensen talks about opening his own investment firm, traveling to Europe every summer, buying rental properties. When Damian talks about the future it's just more of the same boring middle-class BS. Have you and Jensen? Hazel let the question hang in the air. Nothing physical yet, but God, the chemistry is unreal. When we're together for these work lunches it's electric. He looks at me like I'm the most fascinating woman alive. These women were eating it up, making encouraging noises like they were therapists helping her work through some deep trauma. Damian's decent in bed, but he's so predictable. Jensen has this confidence about him. You just know he'd take complete control. Finn was staring at me like I'd been shot. 20 minutes of my fiancée explaining to her friends how embarrassed she was by everything about me, how she was basically cheating with her coworker, how she'd settled for less than what she deserved. You deserve so much better than this, Hazel said. You're 28. You're gorgeous. You work for a trendy company. Men like Jensen are out there waiting for you. I'd heard enough, more than enough. Finn stopped recording and looked at me with pure rage in his eyes. Dude, what the heck are you going to do? I didn't even hesitate. I opened Facebook Messenger, found Alora, typed, put Julia on speaker. I've got something to say to everyone, and hit send. The effect was immediate and beautiful. The chatter stopped dead. Someone gasped. I could hear chairs scraping, panic spreading through their little group like wildfire. Oh my God, Julia. Alora's voice was barely a whisper. Damian just messaged me. He can hear us. Dead silence except for bar noise and what sounded like Julia's soul evacuating her body. Damian. Her voice cracked. Damian, are you there? I let the silence stretch for a full 30 seconds, let her imagination run wild about how screwed she was. Finally I spoke. Yeah, Julia, been listening for the last 25 minutes. Really educational conversation you ladies were having. Baby, I can explain. I was just, no need to explain. You were crystal freaking clear. Thanks for the honesty. Really saves us both some time. Baby, I was tipsy, I didn't mean. Funny how fast she pulled that card. Oh, you meant every dang word. And Jensen, tell him good luck dealing with your toxic friends and your constant need for validation. He's going to freaking need it. Finn was grinning like Christmas morning, pumping his fist silently. Oh, and Julia, that embarrassingly small ring you've been lying about, it cost $12,000, not $1,500. But don't worry, you won't have to be embarrassed by my cheap taste much longer. And I hung up. My phone exploded. Calls, texts, Julia, Alora, Hazel, numbers I didn't recognize, all variations of panic and desperate damage control. Finn was still holding his phone with that recording. "Dude," he said, "I got every freaking word of that, every single word." I turned off my phone and cracked open another soda. "Send me that file. I've got some calls to make tomorrow." Saturday morning I woke up with the kind of clarity you only get when someone shows you exactly who they are. First stop, the bank. I walked into my branch at 9 a.m. sharp and closed our joint wedding account. Julia had contributed maybe $2,000 to the $14,000 we'd saved up. Most of it was my money anyway. I transferred every penny back to my personal checking while the teller looked confused but processed it without questions. Next stop, Friedman's Jewelry, where I'd bought the ring. I walked in with my receipt and the return policy I'd photographed with my phone 3 months ago. The sales guy, same dude who'd helped me pick it out, looked genuinely sad. "Things didn't work out, huh?" "They worked out exactly how they were supposed to. $12,000 return processed in 15 minutes. No questions, no drama, just money back in my account where it belonged." Then I started making the calls that would burn Julia's life to the ground. Wedding venue. "I need to cancel the reservation for Johnson Morrison, September 15th. "I'm sorry to hear that, sir. There is a cancellation fee of $1,500. Send the bill to Julia Morrison. She's the primary contact on the contract. Caterer, $800 cancellation. Fee, Julia's problem. Photographer, $600 deposit forfeited, also Julia's problem. DJ, $300 cancellation fee, you guessed it." See, Julia had insisted on being the primary contact for all the vendors because she wanted creative control over our wedding. Made sense at the time. She was better with details, better at coordinating. What she didn't think about was that being the primary contact meant being financially responsible when stuff went sideways. By noon, Julia was looking at about $4,000 in cancellation fees for a wedding that was never going to happen. But I wasn't done. Finn had sent me the audio file and I'd been listening to it while I did my errands. Every cruel word, every laugh at my expense, every detail about her emotional affair with Jensen. By the time I got home, I was ready for phase 2. I pulled up Julia's parents' contact info in my phone. John and Elise had treated me like family from day one, invited me to holidays, bought me birthday presents, always asked about my work, and seemed genuinely proud when I got promoted. They deserved to know what their daughter really thought about the man they'd welcomed into their family. I sent them a text with the audio file attached. "John and Elise, the wedding is cancelled. This recording will explain why." Then I opened a soda and waited. My phone started ringing 20 minutes later. John's name on the caller ID. "Son, Elise and I just listened to that recording." His voice was thick with disappointment. "We are so sorry. We had no idea Julia felt this way about you or that she was involved with someone else. It's not your fault, John. You guys have been nothing but good to me. We're ashamed of her." Elisa's voice came through, she was on speaker. "This isn't how we raised her. Is there anything we can do? Any way to help fix this mess?" I looked around my apartment that I'd been paying for since before Julia moved in her stuff. "Just make sure she gets her things out of here by Sunday. That's all I need from you." After I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, peace. For the first time in this whole relationship I wasn't walking on eggshells or trying to decode what Julia really meant when she said something. Julia showed up at my door around 6 p.m. looking like she'd been hit by a truck, wearing yesterday's clothes like a walk of shame costume. "Damian, we need to talk." "No, we don't. We're done. Pack your stuff and get out. You can't be serious. You're throwing away 3 years over one stupid conversation." "I'm not throwing away anything. You already did that when you decided I was your backup plan while you auditioned for an upgrade. She pushed past me into my living room like she owned the place. I'm not going anywhere until we work this out. You're being completely irrational. That's when my phone rang, John again. Damian, son, I hope you don't mind me calling again, but Elise and I wanted you to know something. Julia's eyes went wide when she heard her father's voice. We've been talking about this situation all day, and we want you to know that you'll always be family to us. What Julia did is unforgivable, and we are embarrassed to call her our daughter right now. Julia started gesturing frantically for me to hang up, but I just smiled and put it on speaker. We raised her better than this. Elisa's voice came through, the way she talked about your proposal, about how you've provided for her, about this other man. It's disgusting. Mom, please don't, Julia started, but John cut her off. Julia, is that you? We're ashamed of you. Damian has been nothing but good to our family, and this is how you repay him, by mocking him behind his back and running around with some man from your office. The look on her face was worth every penny I'd spent on that ring. After her parents hung up, Julia went full nuclear meltdown mode. You had no right to involve my family. You violated my privacy by listening to a private conversation. You but dialed me, genius. If you didn't want me to hear you trashing me, maybe don't pocket dial the person you're trashing. Everyone needs to vent sometimes. Everyone complains about their relationships. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. For 25 minutes you talked about how embarrassing I am, about how much better another man would be, about how you're already basically dating him. That's not what I said. I have it recorded, Julia. Every dang word. Her face went white, but she doubled down anyway. This is exactly what I was talking about. You don't fight for anything. You just give up and burn everything down instead of trying to work it out. Don't you dare. I looked her dead in the eye. Listen, you little woman. You can't fool me anymore. Understood? Now pack your stuff and get out. She started crying. Damian, please. I was tipsy. Shut the hell up. She refused to leave, planted herself on my couch in my apartment, crying and making demands like she had any leverage left. This is my home too. You can't just kick me out. Your name's not on the lease. Your name's not on any of the bills. You've been staying here, not living here. That hit different. The tears stopped and I could see the gears turning in her head. She was realizing just how little claim she actually had to anything in my life. Around 8 p.m. there was aggressive pounding on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Julia's entire crew, Hazel, Alora, and 2 other girls I barely recognized. Damian, you need to calm down and think rationally about this, Hazel said, pushing her way past me like she was conducting a hostage negotiation. These were the same women who'd spent Friday night trashing me. Julia made a mistake, but she loves you, Alora added. Don't throw away a good relationship over one bad night. Let me get this straight, you all spent Friday night trashing me, and now you're here to convince me to stay with someone who's embarrassed to be engaged to me. We were just having girl talk, Hazel started. Cut the BS. That's character assassination. The room went quiet. And now you're in my apartment telling me to be rational. Get the heck out. All of you. Julia deserves better than this, one of the other girls said. She deserves someone who will fight for her. You're absolutely right, I said, and Julia looked hopeful for the first time all day. She deserves someone who thinks she's worth fighting for. Julia's face fell. I'm not that guy anymore. So take her and go find him. Just do it somewhere else. They started gathering Julia's stuff, her purse, jacket, some clothes she'd left around. As they were heading toward the door, Julia turned back one last time. I want my engagement ring back. I almost laughed. What ring? I returned it this morning. got my 12 grand back. Her jaw dropped. 12? You said it cost 12,000. Yep, but don't worry, it's none of your concern anymore. Hazel grabbed Julia's arm. Come on, Julia. You don't need this freaking loser. Julia's face went nuclear, but Hazel was already dragging her toward the door. You'll regret this, Julia screamed as they left. You'll never find anyone like me. That's the freaking point, I called after them. Sunday morning, John and Elise showed up at my door with boxes to pack the rest of Julia's stuff. Son, we are so sorry, Elise said. It's not your fault. You raised her right. Sometimes people just choose to be crappy despite good parenting. We want you to know, John said, shaking my hand firmly, you'll always be family to us. If you ever need anything at all, you call us. I smiled and nodded. After they left, I felt lighter than I had in months, maybe years. Then Finn showed up around noon with Chinese food and his laptop. Dude, you need to see this stuff, he said, pulling up Julia's Instagram. She's gone full psycho. Julia had posted some cryptic nonsense about learning who your real friends are and fake people showing their true colors. Her comments section was full of her girlfriends talking about toxic masculinity and men who can't handle strong women. Screenshot all of this, I told Finn. Over the next few days, Julia's social media became a masterclass in playing the victim, vague posts about manipulation and emotional abuse and men who punish women for being honest about their feelings. Hazel was leading the charge in the comments, talking about how I was controlling and couldn't handle Julia's success. None of it was true, but it didn't matter. They were building a narrative where I was the villain and Julia was the victim. The funniest part was watching them try to spin the financial stuff. When word got out that Julia was stuck with thousands in wedding cancellation fees, Hazel posted some rant about how real men don't abandon their responsibilities. Finn screenshot everything and showed me this comment thread where one of his friends from college absolutely destroyed Hazel's logic, saying, "So you're saying Julia wanted to be the primary contact for all the wedding planning because she's a strong independent woman, but when the wedding gets cancelled because she was cheating, suddenly she's not responsible for the contract she signed. Make it make sense, honey." Hazel deleted her post within an hour. Meanwhile, I was having the best month of my life. Hit the gym every morning before work, started reading again, picked up some freelance consulting work that paid $150 an hour. Turns out when you're not spending every weekend at brunch listening to someone complain about their coworkers, you have a lot more time and energy for yourself. Finn and I started a weekly poker game with some guys from work, Mike, Torres, and a couple other dudes who actually knew how to have fun without documenting every moment on social media, real conversations about sports, work, investments. 2 weeks into my new life, I got a text from Alora. She was the only one from Julia's crew who seemed to have a functioning conscience. Then she dropped the bomb. "Damian, I need to tell you something about Jensen and Julia." She wasn't telling the truth about their relationship. Interesting. We met somewhere near her work and she looked genuinely uncomfortable. "I feel like crap about all of this," she said. "What happened at girls' night was so messed up and I should have shut it down." "So why didn't you?" "Because Hazel runs that group and if you don't go along with her nonsense, she turns on you. I've seen her destroy friendships over nothing." Made sense. Forget about her though, here's what I need to tell you. Jensen never showed Julia pictures of expensive jewelry. He never took her to expensive restaurants. He's been actively avoiding her for months. I paused. "What do you mean?" "She's the one chasing him. He has a serious girlfriend. They've been together for like 2 years. Julia knew this, but she kept showing up at his office, finding excuses to work late when he was there, even following him to the gym. The desperation was real. Julia had lost her safety net, me, and was doubling down on a fantasy relationship with a guy who wanted nothing to do with her. After everything blew up with you guys, she got worse, started calling him constantly, showing up at his apartment building, even contacted his girlfriend on Instagram to warn her about what kind of man Jensen really was. Jesus Christ, it gets worse. She got suspended from work for a week because her behavior was making Jensen uncomfortable. HR had to get involved. Alora pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of Julia's messages to Jensen's girlfriend, unhinged stuff about how Jensen was leading Julia on and how his girlfriend deserved to know the truth. Jensen is about to file for a restraining order if she doesn't back off. This is getting scary. I had a better idea. I texted Jensen directly, found his contact info from LinkedIn. Jensen, I know this is weird, but I'm Damian, Julia's ex-fiancé. I heard about the situation at work, and I think we can help each other out. He called me within an hour. Dude, I am so sorry about what happened with your engagement. I had nothing to do with any of that stuff Julia was saying. I figured. Listen, she's been making your life hell since we broke up, right? It's insane. She shows up everywhere I go, calls me at all hours, even followed me to my girlfriend's place and tried to start some confrontation. I'm about to get a restraining order. What if we could end this permanently? Jensen was definitely interested. We met the next day. Jensen was exactly what I'd expected, good-looking, confident, drove a nice car, the kind of dude Julia probably thought she deserved. We talked, then I gave him the plan. You text Julia and tell her you want to talk about everything. Suggest meeting somewhere public. I'll be there with my buddy Finn to witness the whole thing. Wait, you want to publicly humiliate her? I want to give her the chance to prove she can do better than me, fair and square. Jensen grinned. I'm in, but I want my girlfriend there too. She deserves to see this. Even better. We set it up for Thursday night at Murphy's Diner, a classic spot with booths, comfort food, and plenty of witnesses. Jensen texted Julia asking to meet and sort everything out once and for all. Her response was immediate and desperate. Yes, I've been waiting for this. I knew you felt the same way. Finn and I got there early and grabbed a corner booth with a perfect view of Jensen's table. Finn had his phone ready, recording in 4K. Julia showed up 20 minutes late, dressed like she was going to a nightclub instead of a family diner, skin-tight black dress that barely covered anything, clear heels, full makeup, the works. She practically bounced over to Jensen's booth, all smiles and nervous energy. I'm so glad you finally called, she said, sliding in across from him. I was starting to think you were never going to realize what we have. Jensen played it perfectly, just engaged enough to keep her talking. They ordered food and Julia went full seduction mode, leaning across the table, touching his hand every chance she got, laughing at everything he said like he was the funniest man alive. I've always felt this incredible connection between us, she was saying, like we understand each other in ways other people don't. Jensen nodded, sipping his coffee. Damian never understood my ambitions, but you get it. You want the same things I want, success, travel, the finer things in life. I know timing is complicated, Julia continued, lowering her voice to what she probably thought was a sultry whisper, but sometimes you have to take risks for the right person. That's when, ladies and gentlemen, Jensen's girlfriend walked in. Beautiful brunette, probably about Julia's age, wearing scrubs like she'd just finished a hospital shift. She spotted Jensen immediately and walked over with a confused smile. Jensen, you said you'd be done by 8. Who's this witch? Julia's face went from flirtatious to confused to absolutely murderous in about 3 seconds. Jensen. Julia, meet my girlfriend, Jennifer. Jennifer, this is Julia, the coworker I told you about. The one I told you about. Julia was the crazy stalker chick he'd complained about at home. Are you serious? You brought her? Julia's voice was getting shrill. We've been together for 2 years, by the way, Jennifer said, sliding into the booth next to Jensen. You must be the one who's been calling him at all hours and showing up at his apartment building. Julia started sputtering. But you said you took me to expensive restaurants. Julia, I never took you anywhere, Jensen said calmly. You followed me to restaurants where I was having business meetings and tried to insert yourself into conversations. You showed me pictures of jewelry. I showed the entire office pictures of the engagement ring I bought for Jennifer last month. That's when Julia completely lost her stuff. You led me on. You gave me signals. You wanted me. The whole diner was staring now. Finn was getting every second of this meltdown in perfect HD. You destroyed my relationship. I left a good man for you. Finn couldn't help himself. My bro stood up and called out across the diner loud enough for the whole diner to hear. Nope. You thought you could trade up. Turns out nobody wants to downgrade. That's when Julia noticed me. The look of pure shock and rage was absolutely priceless. You? She screamed, pointing at me like I was the devil himself. What the heck are you doing here? You planned this. You set me up. Julia stood up from the booth and started walking toward me. But Jennifer wasn't done with her. Excuse me, stalker girl, Jennifer called out. We're not finished talking. Julia spun around. What did you just call me? I called you a stalker because that's what you are. You've been harassing my boyfriend for months, following him around like some pathetic groupie. I'm not. I'm younger than you. I'm prettier than you. I make more money than you. Jennifer looked Julia up and down with the kind of cold assessment that only another woman can deliver. Honey, you're having a public meltdown in a diner over a man who's never been interested in you. That's not successful. That's just sad. Julia lunged at her. I'm talking full-on Jerry Springer chaos. Screaming, clawing, trying to grab Jennifer's hair while Jennifer was laughing and easily dodging Julia's tipsy attempts at violence. Jensen was trying to pull Jennifer away from the fight while Finn was providing play-by-play commentary like he was calling a UFC match. And Julia goes for the hair, but whiffs completely. Jennifer with a beautiful dodge. Oh, and Julia's down. She tripped over her own desperation. The diner manager called security, who showed up and grabbed Julia while she was still screaming about how everyone had betrayed her and how she was the victim in all of this. As they were dragging her toward the door, she locked eyes with me one last time. I hope you're happy, she screamed. I hope this was worth destroying 3 years. He was worth every freaking second, I called back. That night, Finn edited the entire confrontation into a TikTok masterpiece. Added music, slow-motion replays of Julia's failed attack on Jennifer, the whole thing, LOL. Julia discovers that fantasy relationships aren't real relationships when keeping it 100% delusional goes wrong. The video got 80,000 views in the first 2 days. Comments were brutal and beautiful. This is why you don't monkey branch relationships, ladies. Imagine fumbling a bag this hard over a complete fantasy. She really threw away a man who spent $12,000 on a ring for a dude who won't even make eye contact with her. Julia started sending me threatening texts, but I just screenshot them and added them to Finn's growing collection of evidence. Threats to key my truck, threats to show up at my job, even some vague stuff about making me pay for humiliating her. I forwarded everything to Jensen and Jennifer just in case Julia escalated her stalking behavior. She's completely lost it, Jensen texted back. HR suspended her indefinitely pending a psychological evaluation. They're worried about workplace violence. Perfect. Julia had gone from I can do better to unemployed and possibly institutionalized in less than a month. But the real satisfaction came from watching her online presence implode. She'd started posting increasingly unhinged rants about men who punish women for having standards and society that protects emotional abusers. Her friend group was fracturing, too. Alora had completely distanced herself after our conversation. A couple of other girls from their crew started posting subtle subtweets about friends who blame everyone else for their problems. Only Hazel was still riding or dying for Julia, but even she seemed to be getting tired of the constant drama. Her supportive comments got shorter and less frequent as Julia's post got more desperate and crazy. 3 weeks after the diner incident, I got a text from John, Julia's dad. "Damian, I hope you don't mind me reaching out, but Elise and I wanted to let you know Julia moved back home. She lost her job and couldn't afford rent anymore. Sorry to hear that, but it's not really my problem anymore. We know. We just wanted you to know that we told her she's not welcome here until she gets professional help. We won't enable her behavior." Even her parents had cut her off. She had literally burned every bridge in her life chasing a fantasy. 6 months later, I'm living my absolute best life. That $12,000 I got back from the ring. Used it as a down payment on a nice used Corvette. 2020 Stingray. Low miles, absolutely perfect condition. Every time I drive it, I think about Julia calling me a Honda Civic and laugh my butt off. Finn and I expanded the poker game into a full social circle. 8 regular guys, rotating weekly games, occasional golf outings, fantasy football league, real friendships built on mutual respect. I've been dating, too. Nothing serious yet, but it's incredible how much easier dating is when you're not trying to live up to someone else's impossible standards. Last week, I got a text from an unknown number. "Damian, it's Julia. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I've been doing a lot of thinking and I realize I made some mistakes. I'm in therapy now and working on myself. I was hoping we could talk sometime. I miss you." I screenshot it and sent it to Finn with the caption, "And there it is. Block the number and forgot about it." Sometimes people ask me if I regret how everything went down. If I think I was too harsh, too vindictive, too unwilling to forgive. Heck no. Julia showed me exactly who she was when she thought I wasn't listening. I gave her exactly what she said she wanted. The freedom to find someone better. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube, this video deserves to blow up.